Good evening, world. It's me again. I here trying to get get the last of my push-ups done before before Monday. Um, yeah, long neck 1976. Cash App, long neck 1976. You know that little thing. Anyways, if you have Cash App, 25 cents a push-up. I'll keep posting how much money is in there and not reuse push-ups. And after I'm done with the 70,000, I'm gonna keep going. And of course, I want to do more. So I'm getting with some other food banks and some other stuff that I'm doing right now, and in the hopes that we can do some more good in some other ways. And maybe trying to think about doing a mobile food bank. And so if you're gonna if you want to put some money in there, that's fine. If not, that's fine. Now that we got that all out of the way, and another great day, by the way. Anyways. Excuse me, lighting up cigarette. I was watching this video on Ronald Regan talking as he was leaving office, and he talks about the 56 men that signed the Declaration of Independence, and basically, it's pretty crazy. So 56 men signed it in the Second Continental Congress, which actually went on from 1775 all the way to 1781 before they originally and even though before the whole thing was finalized, because it was there was other things that got added into there during that. Not really what I want. All I wanted to say basically was we're always talking about how we've always been a nation of other nations, and the funny thing is that the original 56 men, a majority of them, and I don't know the exact numbers, but a majority of them were born here in America in the first 13 colonies. There were a few British and some Irish, but for the most part, they were. It wasn't a bunch of people from another country that made up a new country. It was a bunch of people that were born here that came from another country. They were born from immigrant families, basically. And it's weird, immigrant, but you're the first. Anyways, so, and on top of that, they said 41 of the 56 men owned slaves too, which I don't find funny. A lot of wealthy landowners, not even so much landowners, about a lot of, it doesn't say how many slaves they had and all that stuff like that, and they had these huge plantations or anything. It just said that they owned slaves. And sorry, my wife came out to show me a gold Trump coin. It was really cool, that somebody gave her. I was thinking to myself, it wasn't weird for them, but it also doesn't specify how many, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, they own slaves because majority of wealthy landowners had slaves, and the funny thing is I don't know when it ended, but even when it was, most people didn't call them slaves like the British didn't. These are my servants, my butler, my my hall maid, the people that clean the houses, all that, the stalls and stuff like that, they call them servants. And isn't that kind of what we all are? Slaves to an idea, slaves to this nation, that provides us with so much. And it's amazing that we haven't even hit 300 years yet. And the idea that I think it's the 16th, or it might have been the 18th, but I think it's the 6th, by the 16th president of our United States, we had already decided that slavery was bad under Abraham Lincoln. But also, a lot of people don't understand is a lot of people that fought in the Civil War. And I'm not saying, there was a lot. There's an old movie, I forget the name of it. It was something like Blue or Gray, and it had, I remember it had Patrick Swayze, and I think it had Sam Elliott, and it had a bunch of good actors. It was a made-for-TV kind of movie. I think it had, I don't know, back in the day, VHS, it had like 4 or 5 videotapes of content. But what always amazed me, and my mom always told me because she loves history and war, is that a lot of people that lived in the South had family members in the North, and vice versa. So it was basically brothers fighting each other for a cause that, for one, the South, it didn't really matter so much about the black slaves, actually, because they also had a lot of other slaves too. There's a lot of Irish and Scottish people that were slaves and stuff like that for very long before we actually ever started trading with the African kings and stuff like that had the huge slave boat, the slave things, because we didn't go out and catch and trap black people and slaughter them. No, we bought them from other black people. And anyways, and for the most part, the only reason that the Civil War really happened, and Lincoln did one of those politician things while he was in there. He threw in the Emancipation Proclamation and just saying people had rights. Every person, every human being, one race, every human would have the same rights. Now, I know it didn't get like that for a very long time, but a lot of important people also died for that too. And I also found it very funny that Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali and all this stuff, like, we're doing so much fighting for everybody, but also just wanting to be alive, just wanting to have the same freedom. They didn't really care about black or white or something like that. Initially it was like that, but they just wanted the same freedoms. And the funny thing is that most of these ones, just like JFK, are linked to some conspiracy theory about government killing them. Most of them we know, but there's still, we'll call it conspiracy theory, because there's still so many people out there that are just so clueless. I mean, I watched somebody ask somebody in New York, a college kid in New York, what the capital of the United States was, and he said, right here in New York. And then he was like, no, that's not right. It's somewhere out west, or isn't it Colorado or so? Excuse me. Anyways, that's what I was trying to say. Like, we're so clueless to our history, and we are so determined that we were also right. But for 200 plus years, it has stood as a testament of everybody wanting it or wanting to tear it down. United States, it's still the same way. Even more amongst our own people now, our own culture. You know, we're still it's still written in there under God. So we're still a country that has that here. It's just everybody's forgotten, and they want to make God out to be a bad thing because of church's sins and all that stuff like that. The Catholic Church, the Christian Church, the Jewish Church. There's no church that does not, no religion that doesn't have its atrocity committed and falsely committed under the idea that it was we had to do it because God, it was moral and just for God. But inherently war in itself and all that stuff like that is not one of the things that God wants us to do. It's like one of the most important, like, thou shalt not kill. And I've said this before, but the Jewish translation actually said thou shalt not murder. And whether you intentionally kill somebody because of something, or you physically murder somebody because you don't like what they have to say, or you don't like the religion they are, or you don't like what color they are, guess what? At the end of the day, you're going to die just like me. It might not be right then, but yeah, someday you are going to pass on. And I get it now. We're trying to go on with AI and have it, our consciousness digitally transferred over to an AI system. And there's even people out there saying that, like the uber rich people. Like, and you think that whole thing, like Bezos and all those guys are the richest people in the world. No, there's a lot of people out there that I'm not saying a lot. There's people out there that don't pay taxes, that don't follow any laws because they have more money than a whole nation would need to survive. And then there's a lot of people out there that are right in front of our face that put on a good show, but truly, if you look deep at the stuff they're doing, and you know who they are, I'll give you some examples, I guess, from people that I see and stuff that I try not to engage in business with at all. Like, I don't buy their products and stuff like that. I know I can't escape all these terrible companies, and there's some new companies coming out, so I can really get rid of this cell phone that's made in another country. And even though Samsung's a great product, and I loved Korea, and everything was in Korea is made from Samsung. It's funny, and they made a very, very good product, and they still do. Way better than Apple. Anyways, I digress again. So yeah, Bill Gates, big one. That dude is insanely rich, and he gives away a lot of money, and he does a lot of research for the government, and he owns a lot of farmland that really takes a lot. And anyways, it's not ethically farmed by far, and he has a lot more to do with COVID than you think, because he's been trying to patent for a long time. At first I was like, yeah, man, this guy's really trying to help out. We're trying to eradicate the flu altogether, because it changes so much, it mutates. And what he really wants to do is the same thing Roundup did. It's like, if you patent basically what used to be used as the inside of the rust from inside of steam furnaces, they used to use Roundup to clean out the inside and get rid of all the rust. And then somebody dumped it in some grass at some point and found out that it just killed everything. Everything. So they decided to, anyways, now they own 98% of the corn made. They own it. And they're a weed killing company. And they own it. They own wheat. Like 80-something% of wheat. And now they spray Roundup on wheat when it's... They spray Roundup on the full-grown thing. They spray it on wheat so they can dry it out and harvest it faster, so they don't have to worry about rain, or they don't have to worry about the season as much. And a lot of times they can get another growth season too. Insane. The amount of fertilizer and stuff that we're pumping into, and I get it, ammonia is a good fertilizer, but one thing ammonia does do is it turns the soil to shit. And if you looked at how many animals get eaten every year by carnivores, and then you see how those large beef factories are and stuff like that, believe me, you want to go grass-fed, organic. If you're a meat eater, you want to do that as much as possible. I know it's not 100%, but that's what you want to do. And 2 is you want to start buying as locally as possible. And the amount of Roundup, what Roundup does also is it kills all the weeds. It kills all the mice. It kills all the bugs. It kills all the larger animals in that area. When deer, you notice you don't see a lot of deer in cornfields out there. You think that would be great for them, and normally it would, but the thing is it's all sprayed with Roundup, so they know now that they're gonna die from that. And then we got everybody wanting to love on animals too much and not understand is like, if you let a species out of control by trying to control everything, that they're going to get overpopulated and they're going to start creating Lyme disease. Yeah, but maybe that's what they want too, because there's a new form of thing. It's called the Texas itch, I think it is, that you get from the deer in Texas. Some ticks is is a type of Lyme disease that makes you one of the very few, if hardly any, or it makes you allergic to red meat. Anyways, I totally lost my train of thought. My son's out here taking the dog to go poop and pee, and there she goes peeing. And yeah, so the whole thing is just is terrible. And if you try to change free will, sometimes that's what you're going to get. You're going to get exactly what you asked for. And then you might not like the results, because then it starts impeding on your territory. Can't we all just have nothing ever die? Then this place would get so populated so fast all the time. But the only problem is you end up killing more stuff trying to save stuff. And Reagan says that in his thing too, and he was like, we spend more money trying to fix the things that government's trying to fix when they didn't need to. And you could say that's harsh. If you want to try to stop homelessness, you want to stop racism, you want to stop things like, no one says you don't want to stop that. By impeding a crazy set of laws on everybody for everything, so everybody has a right. So, and a lot of it is based on what? It already says in the Constitution. It's already been amended. It's law. There's so many laws about racism and all that stuff on every state level, and then on top of that, every federal level, and on top of that, the Constitution. All man is created equal, you know what I'm saying? And number two is, it doesn't matter what color you are, because we're all one race. We're all loved under God. And if you have that mindset, you see how something that was written 200 plus years ago is still an amazing thing. That was mostly people that actually were born in this country to make it its own country. And then you spend... So they started the Second Continental Congress in 1775, and they kept that thing open till 1781. So that's a lot of years. You do the math. When is the last time have we ever come together as anything in the government? And I don't even know, and I'm sure I should do some more research, if there was Democrats and Republicans back when they signed the Declaration. I know we had already, in the first Continental Congress, we had already made George Washington the commander-in-chief, because he was basically the commander-in-chief of our army at the time. Yeah, that's funny. Our president, our first president, was actually the lead general for all of the Revolutionary Army. And the man was a maniac, from what I understand. You always see the white hair in the pictures, but he was like 6'6", red-haired, like just like a terror of a man, like a man you would understand why he was such a powerful general, because the pictures depict him as this British type, white, fake hair, kneeling with the flag in his hand as he's crossing the Delaware, in the middle of the night on Christmas. On Christmas. Like, how crazy is that? You know how cold it is in Delaware? On the Delaware? In Christmas? Back in the 1700s? It was cold. Still pretty cold. And, yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that. Sorry. But they did that so long ago to try to make... And these are richer men that had, or well-to-do families, because they had access to books and stuff like that. Not saying they all were like that, but a lot of them were, especially back then, because even owning a book, most people, the only book they owned for the longest time, until TVs started coming around and radios, the only book that most poor people, most middle-class people, or whatever you want to call them nowadays, the only book they had in the house was the Bible. Because that was the only book and the first book ever published in mass production. And still, it's free. It's still free. How is that possible? But it's just one of those things that happens. You never really... I'm not that big into books, but I have read the Bible. Well... Not the whole Bible, because the Bible is a lot more than just that little book that they give you up before you get on the plane to go to war. You know how many of those I have? So many of them. And that's actually when I read the Bible for the first time. So I knew a lot about religion and religious history and war because of my mom. So, but yeah, I have so many of them, and that's the first place I read it, and that's the first place that whereas I didn't understand a lot of it, there was a lot of stuff in it that I did understand, and at the time I wasn't a true believer, and I wouldn't even say I was an atheist. I needed to live more to understand what God really was. And when I finally looked at that, is way later. I said truly, probably in the last year. And and that's not true. It's truly, and probably about 11 years ago when I met my now wife, and she's a Catholic, but also very Christian. I mean, it's awesome. I love having both sides of that spectrum, and each has its merits, and there's a lot of really purists in religion, you know what I'm saying? Because the funny thing is we talk about Christianity and stuff like that, and Jesus was a Jew. He was Jewish, and he was a carpenter, and the son of a carpenter, and you're saying, well, that wasn't his real father. Well, his real father was a carpenter too, because he's God, so he's everything. So he's the one that designed and built this crazy thing. So that's why God loves construction workers more. I'm just joking. Oh, sorry, Lord. Oh. Anyways, and we get wrapped up in a lot of things, and a lot of people put a lot. And the funny thing is, the 56 people that signed the Declaration of Independence were risking their lives in doing so. They're risking their money and their lives, and a lot of them lost most of their fortunes, and either that or did not die in a very honorable way. And it's never looked back on that. Whenever we look back on our forefathers and our early presidents, I mean, it's never looked back on how new we were, and at any time so many countries could have taken us over, because we weren't making a lot of our own weapons. We weren't producing a lot of our own. We were still importing like crazy, until we realized what we could grow here. And then a lot of other things that were integrated with the Native Americans and early settlers, especially in New York, especially upstate New York. We all really. That's why I guess Woodstock was a good place to. Which it wasn't actually held in Woodstock. It was just a cooler name, man. It was like Bethel Bethel. Whenever Woodstock was, I think it was 72 or something like that. It's crazy. It was like my mom was a teenager when that shit was going on, and maybe even older. I haven't even been older than 18. Anyways, it's weird because I was born in '76, so it's like, and I'm from right next to Woodstock, and I went to Woodstock '94, and yep, I was a major sinner back then. Well, not that I'm much less of a sinner, because I have sinned in the past, and some of them most of them I would say I'm truly sorry for, but other ones I would say, oh, it's just me being me and living my life, and trying to be as free as possible. And I've done a lot of bad things, and I know I'm not worthy, but I know this one thing. At the end of the day, whether you believe in him or not, he still loves you. Whether you do good or you do not, he still loves you. And at the end of the day, if you don't have something that you know is going to hold you accountable for the bads that you've done, then you can never, I'm not saying never, but I am saying never. You can never truly be good. It doesn't mean go out and kill and rape and pillage and destroy all these young children. It's amazing to me also that we're worried about all these people that are coming across the border, but nobody's talking about all these people that are coming across the border and disappearing. All these young boys and girls. It's insane. It's insane how the Epstein stuff hasn't come out. It's insane to believe that anything that you hear, it's insane to believe this anymore. That the government couldn't do this stuff, or people couldn't do this stuff. Because let me guess right now, unless you've been in the shit, unless you've been to war, unless you've been to countries where this stuff is openly happening, unless you do that, you don't know shit. You have to control the flow of illegal people coming across the border. You have to. Because even though there are good people still coming across, there's also all the bad ones coming across too. And they're coming across even more because they have unlimited money, unlimited everything. And every one of them, every drug dealer, everybody south of the border, I'm telling you right now, has a cross around their neck. I can pretty much guarantee it. And they pray to that every day. Falsely. So, I'm just saying, it really shouldn't have anything to do with race, and just, hey guys, something's gotta be done. Something radical has to be done. Just like the Berlin Wall. Do you realize how crazy that was? You basically split the whole country of all of Germany. You split into two, and it didn't matter. It was like you built a wall around families, so there was good people stuck inside and bad people stuck outside. And now we know that, I know we don't know for sure. We don't have his body. But the only thing is they don't have his body in Russia either. And there's a lot of people and down south of the border And when you get down there and like in the mountains and stuff like that, man, there's a lot of Nazis still there. That they just, the Nuremberg thing was just a big ha ha. Most of those guys really were just following orders, or they would die. The guys that did all the majority of the atrocities, and the rest of them we took because they had the best of scientists, all the best technology was Germany, so we took it all. How do you think NASA started? I was a Nazi rocket scientist, the best one in the world, and that's how we got to the moon. So, does the good outweigh the bad? I don't know. It's not for me to decide. But we're pretty freaking confused if you think that just allowing people to come across the border and they're all, oh, we love everybody. No, they don't. Believe me, they don't. They see and have seen the craziness of what white people can do. And they've seen the craziness of what their own people can do. Do you realize how much money these drug dealers have? Yeah, I'm getting long on this one, but Reagan, cool, a lot of cool speeches. It's funny how a president hasn't had to have served in the military anymore. It used to be a prerequisite, and it was a funny thing. Kennedy was also the first Catholic to be elected president. You know how crazy that was? Because Catholicism has deep roots in Britain. And Christianity, in the form of Protestants, came over here to escape the atrocities that the Christian church were doing. But we still kind of fall under the same church now, so if I could label who I was, I say I was a Christian, but I'd rather say I was Protestant, because I don't really agree with the pushings of the main Christian church, and but I still believe in God. I still trust in Jesus's way, and yeah, just start putting a lot of things together, start doing better, and start getting some thought behind some stuff, you know, because thinking isn't easy, but judging others is. So the easy way out is usually the way of the devil, you know. He want to show you the easy way. He will always want to show you the easy way. And wow. Sorry, that was my PTSD. Whew. That sounded like a mortar going off. Whew. Ooh, sorry. Okay, calm down. I gotta start having better control over this. It's a little bit of heart race. We only got a little bit left anyways, and get this out. But yeah, sometimes you just gotta look at it like the easy way has to be the devil. Because if it wasn't hard, what's the point? And I'm not saying things shouldn't become easy with technology and other stuff, no, but you should always have knowledge and respect of how easy that technology can go bye-bye. And I understand that too, so I got a lot of stuff I want to say to people, and Like my son says to me, not my older son, Bowen, says to me, yeah, I haven't listened to your stuff on here, Dad, because it's just you talking. But, and that's true. It is me just talking for the most part. And some of it's just silly stuff. And most of it's me just trying to think and put out to the world. This is how I get it, and it makes a lot of sense, and it's pretty easy. You know what I'm saying? So me just saying, hey, if easy is the devil, and I'm not saying the journey's still not going to be hard. But when you free up and just pray to God, love God, and pray to Jesus, know that He died for your sins, that the hard seems worth it. And sometimes it seems, and the easier it gets to know that, the easier it is, the sooner that is to know that and get that. It makes the hard work not enough. And it makes sense to me. You know? Because there's a lot of people a lot less than me, and there's not so many people with more than me. And I'm learning that also. Just because somebody has more stuff and more awards and more experience than me, it makes it easier. And I just don't know how else. It doesn't make sense to everybody else, but maybe it's not supposed to. Maybe you're on your own journey, and maybe you're just stuck doing the same old things, doing exactly what everybody else is doing, complaining about everything, but not understanding anything, complaining about how hard you have it, but not understanding that you have no idea what hard is. And there's so many more things even in my life. And I have 4 tours in Iraq and 2 in Afghanistan and 30 deployments over 20 years. And I've seen a lot. I've done a lot. I've been married a bunch. I have a lot of kids. I've been divorced a lot. I'm not proud of it. But I learned a lot from every one of them. And not once can I ever say I came out on top of it. Ever. Because I always had to compromise because I was the man. But the government said that I didn't officially have custody of my kids. I had visitation rights. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. But hey, we're at where we're at, and all that really means is, hey, stop thinking about how bad you have it, and then maybe start thinking about how good you really have it. Look at somebody else's life other than your own. But don't look right next door. Look at other people. See other people. See the stuff that is happening around you. Take your face out of your phone. Stop listening to me and do something better. And just see what's out there. See it. Don't have somebody tell you about it. See what's around you. See the suffering. See the happiness. See the beauty. Well, that's me a bunch of rambling on. I'm sorry. It's probably be my longest video. Stay strong, world. May God bless us all. One love, one race under God. Good night.